Welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, Philadelphia's #1 real estate podcast and a Direct Subs production. Real estate investing is not rocket science, and on our show, we'll delve into best practices with a focus on the small things that add up over time. Please enjoy the authentic, informative, and actionable show with our host, Paul Jagelski.
Welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, a podcast dedicated to exploring the world of real estate investing in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just getting started in the industry, this show is for you. Join us as we dive into the latest trends and insights into the Philadelphia real estate market and hear from expert guests who share their knowledge and experience with investing in this dynamic city. This show is brought to you by Direct Subs. Please check them out at directsubs.com, where they're focusing on building connections for investors and contractors throughout the greater Philadelphia area. The Atomic Real Estate Show is your go-to resource for all things real estate in Philadelphia. I'm Paul Jagelski, your host. Now sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of the Atomic Real Estate together. Our guest today is Moira. Moira is a new investor, quote unquote. She started about a year ago, and she's got a phenomenal story to start. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us a little about yourself, Moira.
All right. Hi, my name is Moira. I got started in investing probably about a year ago. I purchased my first property in the Manayunk area, and now we've just finished up and are on location in my second property, which is a triplex. So it's been an exciting journey, and I'm excited to talk about a little bit about, how we got here. So
I love the fact that you actually took away my part that we're on site. No, I love it. So yes, we actually are sitting in your triplex right now in one of your units that's about to be rented. We chose it because this is just awesome. I love it. I wish I could show everybody this layout. I wish I could show everybody this kitchen. Because this is a home kitchen. This is not a rental kitchen.
Thank you. That was the goal. That was definitely the goal. So design is a big part of the inspiration for wanting to do real estate investing. And I didn't have a design background in particular, so it wasn't like I could go into a construction company and say, hire me to design your, bathrooms and kitchens. So, if I was going to roll the dice on me, it had to be me who was doing it, right? So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you have a W-2 job. You work full-time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more interested in how you decided to get into the overall real estate investing while still working a W-2 job.
Yeah. So great question. I think that I think anything that you have an admiration for becomes scarier, right? Because there's a potential, the potential of failing at it is, it means something, right? So I wanted to get into the real estate game. I wanted to understand how to do it, but there was just this overwhelming fear of screwing it up, right? Like not knowing what you're doing. Nope. So what I did is I just ended up talking about it more.
Okay.
I started, I started making little goals, and I was like, My first thing was, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Let me get a base knowledge of what I'm doing in the next 6 months. So in 2020, when the sky was falling, I was like, all right, let me figure out at least what I'm doing here. So I started talking about how it was something that I wanted to do. I started being less shy about sharing that, goal with my friends and family and colleagues. And I ended up, someone had recommended, my chiropractor of all people, recommended this course at Temple that was online. And it was 2 hours, 2 hours twice a week.
Okay.
After work, and it was actually a real estate agent continuing education course, because I guess they have to continue to
We do.
Okay, to do with your credits. So there was this course that was recommended to me that basically the education, the whole final project was selecting a property, going through what you would renovate about it, determining what the profits were if you were going to flip versus if you were going to buy and hold. Buy and hold has always been my, goal.
Yep.
So I went through that project, and it was crazy because 2 or 3 people out of every class, and it's not a big class. I would say it's maybe 12 to 15 people.
All right.
2 or 3 people out of those classes end up actually buying and renovating the project property. So it was, and I made an offer on mine, but unfortunately I was beat out. But at the
By another student?
By another student, probably. Honestly.
Her numbers are too good. I can go over 10 grand.
I wonder sometimes. I should look up who the owner is. I'm going to need your MLS.
I was going to say, Paul McGregor, that's here we come.
But yeah, I was just getting that base knowledge and going through kind of this mock trial. You start to trust your instincts a little bit more, because if you're interested in something, your instincts are going to be, I think you just need that boost of confidence to kind of go through this trial run. And once I did that, and my professor at the end of it was like, "This is a really good property. You should buy this." I was like, "I think you're right." So I went to go, to follow through. And then once you get that taste, you're like, I trust myself to do this. And out of everything I've done in the last year, getting to the point of talking about it and making the plan to get to the point where I trust myself, that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Out of all the construction flunders, out of all everything that is got tenants and whatever else, that was the most difficult hump to get over, is just feeling confident to do it. And that class just gave me what I needed to say, okay, it can't be that difficult.
It is, but it isn't.
But it isn't, right.
No, that's awesome. I mean, as you said, talking about it is such a great thing. And I think the biggest fear people have about talking about it is it's not talked about in the groups. So they don't want to be the oddball that all of a sudden is talking about it, because everybody else is talking about their first time home buying, and then they're, maybe 10 years they'll look for another property, and that's their home buying process. Mm-hmm. So I know, at least for me, it was very weird to start talking to other friends and other family like, hey, this is what I want to do, especially because they look at you like, oh, good job, money bags. Must be nice. You got so much. Listen, I live paycheck to paycheck out of it just like everybody else does.
Right.
It's just I'm putting my money somewhere else other than a bank.
Right.
And I'm dealing with other headaches other than just guaranteeing myself a 0.1% or whatever bank return is. So that's awesome. I mean, and I think you hit it. You really do need to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you'll never build that confidence, and you'll never get that sphere of people around you that are like, hey, you can do this. Right. It's okay.
Right.
And it's kind of cool to watch your friends and family kind of like get on board about it. And all of a sudden they're asking you, and now you're the expert within the group.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're making connections that you didn't even know existed.
Right.
So no, that is a very good key for people. Listen, talk about it.
Talk about it.
Find even the meetup groups, even if it's not within your group, find people to talk about it.
You would be shocked at the amount of people. I feel like in the real estate investing network is the most helpful resource that I've had.
Yeah.
People want to help each other because it takes you a while to figure things out, and then once you kind of have it, you're like, I can help you.
I got you.
I got a guy.
Yeah.
So
I got a podcast.
Right. So once you start to talk about it, it feels, it becomes so much more organic, and you realize that it's not a judgmental environment. It is truly just, you've got to talk about what you want to do if you ever want to get to doing it.
Yep. So you found your first deal. You unfortunately lost on it, which is actually pretty common. Don't feel bad. It usually takes 4, 5, 6, 7 offers to be able to get that first investment, especially nowadays with the competition of investing. But how did you get property and what number 1 actually purchased?
So great question. I actually, our mutual friend, Brian, he had introduced me to a wholesaler who, would just send you an email on a weekly or every couple of days basis, and it was these wholesale properties. So I got on the list, and there was this property that came up, and it was in Manayunk. It was tenant inhabited.
Dang.
It had black mold in the basement.
Fun.
It was, and I use the term tenant loosely. They were not paying, so there was this kind of.
It was occupied.
It was occupied. I used kind of, I made an offer. It was rejected. I was feeling really crappy about it because you go through the 4th, the 5th, the 6th offer, it's not happening, and you start to go, what is wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong here? Should I have just done it? But you do have to kind of stick to your guns, understand your margins, and if it's worth it, if it's right, it'll come. It'll be yours. So they ended up calling me back after they rejected my offer. Dang. And offered it to me for $15K less. And I said, great, let's do it. So we jumped on it. And it was a ride from then. It was definitely exactly, right? So as I was buying my first property, there was another one that came on the market that I wanted. Now, when you go wholesale, it's cash.
Yep.
So I had the cash in my bank, was ready to make that offer. I'd done sales. I prefaced my life with my husband based on my, both of our income, but particularly my salary.
Yep.
So that everything else commission-based was, kind of something for this real estate project.
Yep.
So I had the cash, and another property came up, which isn't super well received when you try to then finance the property. But my background is sales. I can't put a nail in the wall. There are a lot of things that I can't do that you think somebody should be able to do with respect to real estate investing. But I honed in on my strengths, and my strengths that I had developed from sales was communication, empathy, understanding how to solve problems, and being able to take lead with those problems, right? So, needless to say, Cecilia, my wholesale agent, was pissed, right? Just like pissed. She was like ready to
Easy way to put it.
She's getting ready to fight, right? And I'm like, let's take this back step. Like, help me, educate me, help me understand, because I want to do this, second property. My cash is, a little tied up right now. I want to finance this. What is the problem with financing? And once we were able to kind of, put our swords down, she was like, well, typically if you finance with a traditional bank, they don't pay my commissions because I'm not a licensed real estate agent. And I said, got it. So the problem here is that it's your commissions, you might not get paid. And she's like, exactly. I was like, Cecilia, I'm a salesperson. There is no way on this planet that I would ever, that I would ever blow off your commission. Right. That's so important to me. Like, there is absolutely no way that would ever be the case. So let's talk this out. What are your commissions in the sale? $19,500. Okay. What if, just entertain this, for me for a minute. What if I write you a check for the $19,500, we redo the paperwork and lower the sale price by $19,500, and I finance the remainder with the bank? She goes, well, we've never done that before. I'm like, but would that solve the problem? It's very important to me that you get paid. It's also very important to me to continue building this, real estate, business that I'm doing, and I want to continue working with you. So how do I make sure that you're safe and secure so that we can move forward? That's just, it's true though. And then that's how, so now I'm solving a problem that's more about like, all right, I care about what your problem is. It's my priority to fix it. Can you help me get there?
Yeah. Not to mention, you just educated her too. Because now she can go to other clients and be like, I got a proposition for you.
Right. Exactly. Right.
That's
so
cool.
It opens up her client base a little. I didn't even think about that, but that's true.
Yeah.
So I argued, and it's a soft argue, right? Which is kind of where you...
It's sales.
It's sales.
Yeah.
Right? So I had to sell it to her, and then I had to sell it to my bank, who was not thrilled about the...
Yeah, they don't like each other.
The squatter situation, the black mold, like all of this. And so I had to negotiate all of those things too. So I'm good with Cecilia. I'm going to pay her $19,500, put it in escrow until it's time to go. And then I had to deal with the bank, who is like, typically going to be ticked off if it's not a move-in ready home with like shiny new lights and everything else. So my broker, you should have seen him. There's like 70% more gray hair that he attributes to me, but it's a love, it's a love-hate relationship.
If it goes through and it works, guess what? There's probably going to be a second, and there's probably going to be a third.
Exactly. So
that's the way I look at things.
Right. So we go in, we start to get inspections on this house. So there's no way that we can close on this house before you get the black mold fixed. And I was like, well, I'm like, Andy,
it's not really possible.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay to fix something in a home that isn't legally mine yet. So what do we, there or not, can I write something up? I'll draft something that says that we have 30 days to complete this, this renovation, or our, financing agreement is null and void and you can, back out, but I'm going to get it done in the first, 2 weeks and come in and get it inspected. And he was like, well, let me go back and argue and, see if we can do this. And then they do, and then it's fine. But people are immediately panicked.
Yep.
And as long as you can, and if sales is one of your strengths, hone in on it. And if empathy is one of your strengths, hone in on it. Understand why you're getting pushback, what the true problem is, care about it for that person, and then help them help you get through it.
That's a great way to put it. To be honest, I think that could help everybody in so many different ways in the world. That think of somebody else first, and then you can actually bring it all together. And I mean, that's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It's a weird combo that you did. Within real estate, I can tell you that much, because I can tell you the wholesalers I've dealt with in my life, you say bank and they're like, yeah, bye.
Yeah.
They're not even open to any kind of communication. There is nothing there. That is just deuces. I'm out.
Right.
You go to a bank and say, yeah, I got these issues. And they're typically the ones that sit there and go, I got rules and regulations. Next!
Right.
So it's really cool that you were able to use just, again, empathy to be able to say, hey, let's not stop this conversation.
Right.
Let's actually just figure out what the hurdles are and if they're possible.
Right.
And as stated before, now you just open up multiple doors for other people as well. So not only just yourself, you found a nice little niche in there that you can go into, but now these individuals have sat there and be like, holy crap, I can help other people. I'm going to go to my team members and tell them, look what I can do for your client.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully it opens other doors, but most importantly, it opens the door for you, right? Yeah. So like, if you can just hone in on your strengths, then you can find a way to make it apply.
That's awesome. So first one, wholesale cash. Mm-hmm. Second one, through the wholesale, but through financing.
Yes.
All right.
So that was my first one. I had that was all just the one deal. That was was just the house in Manioc, and it was a wild ride.
I give you a lot of props for it, because especially on the investor, like true investor side of that word, what people take it as, they would have walked at the first sign of issues.
Yeah.
To them, that extra 2 hours of trying to deal with this is just 2 hours that they don't even want to deal with. So good for you.
You have to think about it this way too. It's like, I'm not handy, so I'm not going to save money by doing work myself. But here's the obstacle between me and the cash that I see in this property. Yep. So if I have to take some time out to negotiate, if I have to take some time out to, for example, that same property, the squatter tenant situation, they were not interested in, moving out. And I had done my research. I had looked up the previous owner. There were some, lawsuits. There were some, so I'm going, all right, these guys are not responding well to being muscled out, right? So I'm going to have to come in and have a different approach. So I come into these and I, talk to these squatters, and I'm like, all right, what's going on? The house is in shambles.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's in total shambles. And they're like, they don't have this, they don't have that. And I'm like, oh man, like that really stinks. Like, I'm sorry that was your experience. Your landlord expected you to pay rent. Ugh, unbelievable, and just kind of was on their side, right? Yep. And, I did my research about eviction, and I was panicked. And there were so many people, even on like the bigger podcasts, like Facebook groups, that told me to to kill this deal with fire, right? And I was like, oh,
You go ahead, not family, this is all adult.
Okay.
All adult, you're good.
Shit. I have really screwed up here. But it was my deal, it was my house. I had gotten through the financing part, and now I'm dealing with these tenants who don't have any money to leave, and don't frankly have the capacity to or the capacity that I trust to get out on their own. So I have two options. I can try to evict them, which is going to take 4 months and cost me $5,000 and a lawyer and, a lot of non-cooperation. Or I can communicate with these tenants, figure out what it is that they want, where they want to live, what their budget is, and do it for them.
You became their real estate agent.
I became the real estate agent.
Dang!
Yeah. So I was like, it wasn't even about like, and people were like, you shouldn't have to do this. I was like, it's not about have to, or what I should or should. These
it's an object between my goal.
Between me and $100,000 opportunity
yeah.
in value for my family. So if I can spend $5,000 in 4 months to try to get them out and they're going to fight me tooth and nail, or I can get my butt on Craigslist myself in their budget and start calling apartments that are open and available and that I can move them to. So that's what I did.
That's
so
awesome.
Instead of 4 months and $5,000, I gave them $800 for their first month's payment and got them out in the same amount of time.
Cash for keys, baby.
That's it. So as soon as they got, they moved into the apartment they couldn't afford was mine. The previous landlord was charging them $1,200. They were like, we can't afford it. We're more like $800. Found them the $800 apartment and took my husband's dump truck and moved all their shit in. I'm not kidding. Moved all their shit out, and as soon as everything was out, gave them the cash, and I took my keys back. And I was like, see ya. Don't call, don't write. That was it.
So not only the agent, you also became the movers.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I am physically getting you out of here to make sure.
I knew they weren't going to do it themselves. So I was like, someone's paying, in my mind, someone's paying me $100,000 to do this.
Yeah. And that's what, again, with real estate, you got to look at that end goal. Everybody always, but all the headaches and all the night calls, and it's not quick cash. It's not quick cash, absolutely not. But it helps you with taxes, which is awesome. It helps you with some other little incomes here and there per month, which, hey, if you budget right and you do it all right, that's good. And it really just helps you connect within your neighborhood, within your organization, within that township. For us, the city. To me, if we can get more and better landlords within the city, people like yourself that actually care about those tenants, then those tenants aren't going to give us the headaches because they're not looking at us as terrible landlords anymore. Right. And that's one reason why we started this podcast, was to let everybody show that there are good landlords out there. Mm-hmm. There are really nice properties out there like we're sitting in right now. Like, this is a home. This isn't a rental. You could have kept it the way it was, kept a lower rent, and been that little, I don't want to say slumlord because I hate that term, but that mediocre landlord. But instead you decided, no, my tenants need more, they deserve more, and therefore I'll give them more. Totally. And it really doesn't hurt us as landlords, let's be honest. Now you got a kitchen that you don't have to touch for another 7 to 10 years if you're unfortunate. It could go 12, could go 15. You've got recessed lights that got a 7 to 10 year life on them, so hey, no light bulb changing for you anymore. Right. You've got laminate floors in here that are going to last and hold up, so you're not going to have to change out carpets. You're not going to have to get them cleaned. You're not going to have to do that kind of stuff. That's awesome.
If you do it right and you do it all the way, and that's not every opportunity. You have to do your budget.
Yep.
But if you do it right, you're not getting those midnight phone calls.
You're absolutely not. I've been a landlord now for about 4 years. I think I've gotten 2 past hour phone calls. I put in my lease though. Hey, past 5 o'clock, if it's not an emergency, I'm charging you $75. Yeah. So guess what? They don't call me unless it's an emergency. They don't, hey, if you get locked out, it's a $75 charge. Guess what? They keep their keys on them a lot because they don't want them to get locked out. They don't want to pay that $75. Right. And it's just little stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Talk to them with respect. Yep. Communicate with them. Make sure that everybody's on the same page and go forward out of it. So property 1, you got finally keys.
Locked, loaded, rented it out. My mortgage.
Did you do any renovations for it?
We renovated the whole place.
Damn.
We renovated the whole place. I was lucky enough to. I trust my contractor implicitly. He's an amazing GC. And he also has an interest in real estate investing. So I get to kind of be like the paperwork and number side of that. And he is, more the hands-on part of that. So we have developed, a really wonderful rapport where if he is interested in a deal, he'll send it to me and I'll do the numbers, and then he always comes through above and beyond. I mean, as you can see in this kitchen, like he's incredible.
Yeah.
And so just having that rapport, having those open lines of communication with people, and you care about what they do, they'll care about what you do.
Yep.
So that first property, I got my mortgage on it is $1,260, rented it out for $2,400 a month. Damn. Yeah. So and you know that was the idea, is get a place, force appreciation, and create an opportunity for cash flow and generational wealth.
Yep. And you're in a great place over there right now. I'm in Manioc, Roxborough. If you got a house from a wholesaler in Manioc, Roxborough, I'm going to tell you beat out about 100 investors.
I get text messages every day
I'm sure.
from people. Will you sell us silverboard? And I'm like, not on your life.
Nope. I mean, especially now with all these big guys coming in and they're taking 2-3 properties and trying to put up 100. No way, dude. You ain't getting my property.
Right. Exactly.
I like being my little guy.
I fought for this.
Yeah. I fought for this because I like to fight for my tenants.
Right.
Like, I don't need my tenants going into those huge places that are going to nickel dime them and not pay attention to them as people. Right. I like that rapport. I will admit, I'm a real estate agent that does not put my listings on the MLS because I want to meet the tenants.
Yep.
That to me is more important than anything else. I have tenants that don't have the greatest credit scores, but I met them, and they're phenomenal people, and they've never missed a payment, not once, all through COVID, all through everything, because they're good people. So, one, got it, moved them out, perfect, got people in, making money on it. So tell me about number 2.
So number 2, it's funny. I think one of the most important things that I realized after unit number 1 was that it's good to have a plan, but it is important to be flexible. Because, I thought I was coming in and I was going to have all this cash on hand. Another opportunity can come up before you're ready, but that's life.
Yep.
And that can be good. And so when this property came up, I wasn't sure that I wanted to get into multifamily because it was scary to me. I didn't know it. So I started doing some more research. I started talking about, what I could afford. And one of the beautiful things about this place is it's not, does it work or doesn't it? It's how does it work?
Correct.
Right?
It all works.
How does it work? So for me, this place was a triplex. I had a tenant on the first floor who was in the middle of their lease. Same with the bottom floor. And I was like, I don't know how long I can finance, not only having this, my first rental property, not necessarily rented out, the ink isn't dry there, pay my own mortgage, and then
take out a third.
Right? What am I, nuts?
Yes.
So, yes, short answer, yes. But when I did the numbers, the income from 2 occupied units out of 3, and this second unit really being the only one that needed to have work done to it, I was like, okay, my holding costs or my carrying costs for this is $2,800 a month. I can't do that with 2 other mortgages right now. But the first unit and the second unit, or the first unit and the third unit, are offsetting those costs. So my carrying costs are more like $800 a month. Now this is in my budget.
Yep.
So it was an opportunity where I'm like, if you look at something at face value, you go, I can't afford an extra $2,800 a month. This can't work for me. But you start, okay, let me see the leases of the other ones. Okay, my project is going to take 6 months. They're at least on the hook for another 6 months to stay in the unit. That means my carrying costs are truly only $800 a month. And I want to do this and I want to do that. And I think once that's done, I can get $1,700, certain whatever it is that you want to see out of your project. It allows you to kind of refocus that energy into how can this work for me versus this is too much money, I can't handle it. So you just pivot.
Yeah.
You just pivot.
Well, and I like how you said everything works. It's just how.
Right.
Because that's always the big question. Single family versus multifamily. Multifamilies, I love them. Why? Because that's what you just said. I can carry 1 cost, 2 costs, and it will still take care of the whole property while renovating something else. Where if it's a single family, if I got to renovate, that's downtime. That's no money in.
Right.
However, fast forward 10 years, my duplexes, triplexes, quads didn't nearly appreciate as fast as that single family did. And I could sell that single family higher to a new family, actual family, not tenants, or non-investor, versus that multifamily, which over the last couple of years, yes, we've had a lot of people trying to house hack, so they are buying those at a high price. But as you know, multifamily typically doesn't get that huge appreciation. It gets some, but it's not
buying pool.
Yes. So I like it. To me, a diverse portfolio, a mixture of some here and there, is the best way to kind of fit through it. I love multifamily though.
Same. And I wouldn't have touched it with a 10-foot pole. When I had done my first single family flip, I was like, nope, not for me. But then as soon as it comes up, your interests expand once you get your confidence up, and once you start to understand real estate opportunities a little bit more. And the only way to do that is through true just getting in there and the practice. And you'd be surprised, what opportunities become interesting to you. So
you mentioned your husband, and I know I'm kind of jumping here real quick, but I want to get this in here before I forget it.
Yeah.
Is he on board with all this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this wasn't you pushing and you saying, hey, look what I can do, and then he's been on board from day one?
He's been on board since day one, and I think, and I don't think this is unique to me. I think that people doubt themselves way more than the people around them doubt them, So, and it's just, so I was like, I came to him with like a business plan and, like all my papers, stripped around. I'm like, well, then we did this, and then the market's heading this way, and he was like, what do you need? It was really sweet. And, he's not, he wouldn't call himself handy, but he is just totally on board with supporting me. And, it's been great because, again, you use your strengths, and he has a small, tree service business, Hearn Tree Service, if anyone is in need of fine pruning or takedowns. And he had this dump truck. So I was like, again, where can I save money? Where can I leverage my opportunities? So, whether you have to move your squatters out, or whether for my GC calls my husband directly when he's got, a load that's ready to go to the dump. And that's just like these little things where you offset that you don't think of traditionally beneficial in a real estate investing environment. All of a sudden is, if you can, think a little bit outside of the box.
I love it. Me personally, I try and swing as many hammers as I possibly can to save my costs out of it, because that's where I'm good at it.
We wouldn't be sitting in this kind of kitchen if I was the one swinging the hammer.
Well, no, I don't do the finishes. I do the swinging the hammer part.
Right.
The finishes part. I still bring in plumbers. I still bring in electricians. I still bring in contractors and carpenters to finish off certain things that I don't feel comfortable with. But yes, you have to find where you're going to save a penny, because that penny is going to add up, and it's going to continue to add up. And not to mention, if you save that penny, it's going to gain interest over the years for you at the same time. So everybody has different sources out of it. I've got several clients that they do literally nothing but pencil push. They scour the internet, they find it, they run their numbers, and then they send it off and say, we're buying. They never see the property. They never go into the property. Then they call their GC. Hey, this is the next property that's being renovated. Don't worry, you got your paycheck. And then there's other people that are kind of like me, that they want to be hands-on through the whole process.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way I feel comfortable doing it. And you just find your lane. You stay in your lane, and you just keep going.
Right.
And that's one thing I love about Philly is there's so many opportunities in so many different lanes. BRRs, long-term holds, flips, opportunity zones. I know they don't call Section 8 anymore, but you get the point out of it. Like, there are so many different things that you can do. And then if you want to, hey, you can take a little step out to those suburbs too and try out there.
Right.
And again, that's just a different lane.
It's so important that you said that, because I don't think I realized that until I started to get into it, is that one of the, voices in the back of my head when I was doubting myself was, there's so much competition and you don't know what the hell you're doing. But once you get into it, there are truly niches.
Mm-hmm.
There is, there are people who will, run the numbers by, want to be hands off and let the property sit and, continue to do it that way. There's people like myself who want to renovate high end because their passion is more along the lines of design and the financial part. And then there are people who are more interested in, you know, I don't know, I'm blanking, but flips or, you know, specific areas of the city, or Airbnb works great where a rental may not.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it's just, there's so many different avenues that you know, if you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, you're going to be totally overwhelmed. But once you kind of get in and you're on the street with those people, your contacts in that environment aren't your competition. Because their path, their avenue, their lane is not the same as yours, but you can help each other.
Yes, and that it's so cool that you said that part too. And it's so true. I mean, I always equate pretty much investing to driving a car. Got to stay in your lane, obviously. But you're brand new. You're 17 years old, 16 years old. You got this huge vehicle that you don't know what to do. You push this pedal, goes faster, stops, goes, turn. Now all of a sudden your parents just told you to get on 8 lanes of highway that's going 75 miles per hour. What do? You're trying to get in there. You don't know where to go. But once you're on there, you're like, oh, dude, this is the easiest thing. You're cruising. You're loving life. Real estate's the same way. Yeah. You know, it, as you said, 30,000 foot. You're like, I can't do this shit. This is fucking nuts. Like, how did that person do it? And I'm sitting over here. Mm-hmm. And then once you finally get in there, you're like, the fuck was wrong with me? I waited 5 years because I'm stupid.
That is going to be it's never going to be what you do when you are in it. It is that you waited and beat yourself up for that long about what you didn't understand.
Yep. I started around 33, 34. God, I fucking kicked myself for waiting until I was 30s.
I know.
If I could have just done it in my 20s and gotten 7 more years, 8 more years of extra into there, But yeah, and it's true. Everybody that we talk to, what's the biggest thing that you want to do better? Should have started earlier.
Yep.
Could have done this one earlier. Could have done one more in my 20s. Could have done.
It's not a reaction or a phrase that you understand until you do it, and then you're gonna say the same thing.
Yep.
I guarantee.
Well, I mean, to this day, I say my biggest regret in real estate is buying my forever home before buying one more rental property.
Yeah.
And 95% of the world looks at me like, what? Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just a lot of money that's tied up into a project that's not going to actually create me money.
Right.
And I didn't know that at the time. You know, I had my one little rental property that I was expecting to sell within a year or two because I didn't really want a rental property, but it helped me buy this house, and that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I kept it because it kept helping me buy that house. And then I realized after I got my second, I was like, son of a bitch, I could have gotten so many more without this thing sitting on my property.
I know.
And so, yeah, I mean, starting early. You've got a kid on the way. Congratulations.
I do. Thank you. Yes. Project number 2 was done not only through, pregnancy, but at the same time, IVF was the journey that my husband and I took. So while we were buying a house, we were going through this. Just imagine a very teary, woman, just like, full of all the, hormones and shots and whatever else. So if I can do it in that state, anybody can do it.
See, and I love it. Sorry. So you have your W-2, you're going through IVF, mm-hmm. You're now pregnant.
Right. And
you've bought 2 properties during that time frame.
Yes.
And renovated them.
Yes.
And been an agent.
Yes.
And been a mover.
That's it. So, call me for all your needs.
Yeah. I bring all those up because it's really a testament to who you are that you're willing to go through all that. But also I bring it up because you have to go through it to be able to do it. Right. There is no magic spell. I mean, yes, I quit my corporate job to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. I was lucky.
Yeah. That's
not everybody's avenue. Most people have to have that W-2 until this can actually supplement that income out of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're on that path. Hopefully those are your goals out of it.
We're getting there, slowly but surely. And that, again, is a different path, right? Is my focus right now is forced appreciation and cash flow so that I can supplement and replace my W-2 income.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, change is uncomfortable, and doing it at first, it's not all going to feel great at once.
No.
It's going to feel like shit sometimes.
A lot.
But then you get to sit and do a podcast in your newly renovated kitchen that you just rented out for more than you thought you would, and then life is good again.
Yep.
So you just really have to believe in yourself and, take the risk. Sometimes change is just uncomfortable, and sometimes, when stuff is uncomfortable is the most important time to do things. I think from, when everything's on fire is kind of when I started to do this, because I was like, well, what's one more thing, and sometimes forget it. It's one more, just add a mortgage to this bonfire.
And a child.
Yeah, and a child. No problem. Those are cheap, right?
Yeah. They will suck money right out of your pocket or anything. Or time.
Yeah, time.
Sleep,
I'll have more
efforts.
time. So sometimes when things are on fire, that's what's always kind of forced me to make a change.
Yeah.
And it's a change I'm really glad that I made.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when you're looking for number 3?
Ooh, I'm always looking for number 3.
Yes, that's the answer.
People scroll Instagram. I scroll Redfin.
Yep.
I'm constantly on LoopNet or whatever else, and it becomes fun.
It does.
To
analyzing.
Right, analyzing deals. How could I, add value to this place, or how could I finance this, or what have I learned, or who could I talk to that is, who focuses in this arena that might, want to give me an education on X, Y, and Z. Yeah, and it's just like, it becomes an obsession, so.
It does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I've gotten to the point where I've taught my kids to now look for multiple meters on a house. So if it looks run down with multiple meters, we know it's like a duplex, triplex.
Yeah.
And then we kind of go back. I'll go on the MLS and be like, has that property recently sold? Is it in dire need of being sold?
Meters and mailboxes.
Yeah.
Always counting them.
Yeah. So it does. It becomes an obsession out of it. My youngest, my 4-year-old, will literally be like, Dad, that house looks run down. What do you think about it? I'm like, stop. You can't say that out loud, man. No, we're on the streets. No. But it has literally encompassed our lives out of it. I love it, to be honest.
Same.
I mean, obviously, I'm running a podcast out of it before it. I'm talking to people that do it because
it's so much fun.
It is, and there are so many people in this city that need to hear from people like you, to hear that we can do this.
Right.
It's okay. It is scary.
It is scary,
but it's okay. And I think, in my opinion out of this, is that we've really convinced people that the one biggest purchase of your life is your house. You got to do it right. You don't want to screw up. If you can go bankrupt if you do it wrong. Man, to me, you got to look at this as an opportunity, like you said, to actually help yourself. Mm-hmm. And investing isn't for everybody.
Right.
Again, find your right avenue. You never have to pick up a phone call if you don't want to. You can invest purely passive by sitting there and just giving out the money and having a property manager run it, and you get your monthly statement. That's fine. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, that's probably more stressful than the other way of doing things.
Right.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I can go see my properties. I like the fact that my tenants know me as a landlord. I like the fact that they can text me, hey, FYI, did you see Philly water? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
We'll take care of that.
You have to be passionate about it, right? If real estate is something that you're passionate about, you're going to make it succeed.
Yeah.
If this is part of your retirement plan, you're going to make it succeed. I mean, for example, my brother-in-law is passionate about, Rolexes, and there are people who invest in those.
Yep.
But for me, I'm like, for $10,000, you can call me anytime. I'll let you know what time it is. But that's just, that's just me. But he's passionate about it, so he invests properly in it. I'm passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about design, and I'm passionate about kind of watching the appreciation and creating that with my hands, figuratively, and mentally,
yeah.
and so when you're passionate about what you're putting your money into, you're more often likely to see it succeed.
Yeah.
As to where, if you do stocks, and I've done that as well, and I've seen it go up and down, and I felt out of control with it. This, I feel like
there's some control.
There's some control.
Yeah.
And there's some pleasure I get out of doing it. So watching it succeed is rewarding in more than one way.
So how are you planning on managing these properties?
So right now I'm managing myself.
Okay.
Because again, cash flow is my goal. That's
Yeah.
not everybody's goal right away, but it is so that I can supplement my income and spend more time with our growing family. But the next step will, I may be just as surprised by it. I mean, I like I said, I've never, I never thought I would get into a triplex before, and here I am. So who knows?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if you find any good software, let me know, because I'm still not using software and I need to use software.
I know. I think once, if we get into another multifamily, I may be moving towards property management.
Okay.
But as of right now, I've renovated and fixed up these places completely. And
Nice.
in a way that a lot of the things that we put into them have warranties.
Right?
So
Talk to me a little bit about warranties. So you're buying warranties.
Yeah. So like for appliances and stuff, you run out of cash. So I end up, financing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a great relationship with Gerhard down the street. And I finance, they do a financing program through TD Bank. They make it really easy. And they all of these appliances have, warranties on them. So if something goes kaflu, I'm not worried. I have a great relationship with my GC. If something goes wonky or there's an outlet that's not working, he just did the work. He's going to come back and take care of it. So if you put, your energy into fixing something right and establishing a good relationship with the people who did that service for you, it's not as difficult of a maintenance project, I feel like.
It's so true. No, I agree. I'm the landlord. I've said it before on the podcast. I replace, I don't repair. If something breaks, it's replaced. Right. I'm not spending the time, the efforts, the money, the phone calls, and all that to get it fixed for just to break another 2 weeks later.
Yep.
I noticed that you have nice appliances in here. You didn't do the standard white, typical rental appliances. They're stainless steel and they're beautiful. I mean, you've got a 5-burner freaking gas cooker in a hood better than mine in my house.
This kitchen looks that's another thing. All my rentals look better than my own home.
So do mine, and my wife hates me for it.
It's so frustrating.
She's like, when's ours next? I'm like, when it pays us.
Yeah, exactly.
You do realize, they actually...
It is funny, because then when you do get a call from a tenant, and you're just like, how dare you? You are living larger than I am. Are you kidding?
I know, right? You do realize you have a 5-burner and I'm on a glass cooktop?
Yes.
Just saying.
My microwave is on its last leg.
Don't get me started on microwaves right now. We had a fun one with that.
Oh, jeez.
So you're going to manage these as of now?
As of now, yes.
You're potentially property management in the future?
Yes.
Are you looking to purchase this year? Or are you looking to change financing this year? Or are you looking to kind of sit back, hey, let me recuperate some costs and then go back into it?
So it's a good question. I got a good piece of advice from a networking group that I attended. And I only got into that networking group because I started talking about wanting to do this. So again, talk about it. And I go to a diner, Country Squire Diner. There's like a once a month.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's in Havertown. A once a month meetup of just all kinds of people, electricians, painters, real estate investors, lenders, and we all, there's always a guest speaker, and you just network, and it's great. And the reason I bring it up is because it shifts your perspective on what might be next for you. But one of the speakers that was there, I believe his name was Jordan, I can't remember his last name, but I'll send you that detail afterwards. We had a lot of similar vision. We had an interest in forcing appreciation and design, but you start to run out of money, right?
Yes, you do.
You start to run out of money. So one of his, for the sake of growth and sustainability, for his business plan was ultimately he tries to do a flip for every 4 doors that he acquires.
Interesting.
Right. So I'm now at 4 doors with a single family and a triplex. So I'm open to both, but it would be nice if I shifted my buy box to a flip potentially to get a little bit more cash and a little bit more liquidity to put it into the next project. Because one of the things that I've learned is that it is beneficial to hold on to some of your cash. It's nice to flash it, right? Say, I have this.
I have it. You may not get it, but I have it.
I have it. It's here, but I want to borrow yours.
Yeah.
And that has become a very powerful bargaining tool with respect to qualifying for loans and things like that, as to where, a couple of years ago, it may have been more beneficial to clean out your bank account and do that.
No.
But I've become comfortable with holding on to with the remainder of my cash to be able to say that I have it.
Yep.
And then maybe shift my focus and my buy box, if you will, to creating a little bit more immediate liquidity.
Okay.
To then put it into the next buy and hold.
Oh, nice.
Is it as beneficial or lucrative or tax wise or probably not. But it costs money to make money.
Yes, it does.
And so it's an opportunity to shift my focus a little bit. So I'm looking at potential flips.
City, suburbs?
Suburbs.
Okay.
I think with just my interest is design and functionality and kind of like forever spaces. So I think that the burbs is going to be a totally different buy box for me. When I look at buy and holds, I am I want to be a couple blocks from Main Street and a couple blocks from a train station.
Yes.
When I am looking at a flip, totally different criteria. I'm looking at school district. I'm looking at making sure it's not on a main street. I'm looking for square footage and how can I add value here and there. So it's different.
Yep.
I haven't fully committed to it, but I think it's a good idea. To just create additional cash for yourself so that you can accelerate your primary goal. It's good to have secondary goals as well.
Yep. Right?
So in order to accelerate this, it may be an opportunity for me to leverage, the right flip if I find it.
That's awesome. That's straight out of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Leverage your debt.
Leverage your debt.
As much as you possibly can. Have cash on hand, but leverage your debt.
Right.
I don't want to use my money. I want to use your money.
Right.
You'll get your money back, don't worry. Mm-hmm. But I want to use yours, not mine. And suburbs are a different game. As you said, is there outdoor space? Is there a basement that I can finish and bring in some equity real quick out of it? Mm-hmm. Is it a rancher that I can put a second story on and, hey, I can quadruple the cost of this house? That's a really cool philosophy too, the 4-for-1.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned on this podcast before, I'm kind of in the same situation. Money's kind of starting to run dry. I'm tired of using my own personal money. Not to mention I want to expand faster. And using your own personal money kind of restricts how fast you can expand.
Right. And it restricts your next project.
Yes.
Right?
Leveraging that debt really, really does open up some doors. And that's where, I know we talked about this before, but I like the regional banks. I like those little mom and pop places that they're going to sit there and be like, hey, I like you. I believe in you. I think you're going to be successful, so I'm going to give you that money. Versus, a big PNC. Sorry, PNC, I keep throwing you under buses. I bank with you, don't worry. But going in there and they just get, your application and they run through it. Yeah, no, it doesn't work on our end. Sorry, you're not good enough. And it's like, come on, man.
Right.
Look at me as a person. I haven't failed yet. I'm not going to fail on this one.
Right.
And that's so key, and that's so cool that you're willing to do it and willing to even, hey, I'm not necessarily doing this, but I got to at least do my homework into it and research into it before I can say no.
Right.
And that's awesome. I know talking about we were staying in our lanes, you're not deviating, you're just researching.
Right. Secondary plan. How do I, and if I go into a different lane, it's only to accelerate the lane that I'm committed to.
Correct. And that I think is something nobody has talked about yet. And that is so cool to think about. Hey, I can't necessarily just take steps A, B, and C, D to get through the alphabet. Sometimes you got to go a little bit around it, and it'll bring you back to go through it. And that's awesome. I mean, just that little tidbit right there has me thinking now in my head, where can I deviate a little bit to get to?
Watch, tonight we're going to be sending each other, different opportunities on MLS.
Oh, God. The MLS right now, the MLS is driving me nuts right now. There's too many people out there that are just trying to jump in without actually doing their research. As you said, every deal works, just how. I look at a lot of these deals, and right now they work for homeowners. They just don't work for investors. And the ones that do work for investors, as I said before, we're competing with 100 of us, if not more, because we're all hungry right now. Everybody knows supply is still down, especially in Philadelphia.
Big time.
Now, in Philly, I will say, there's a bunch of nice first-time homebuyer houses ready to go. But that prices us out of it. So if you're a first-time homebuyer, go look at the city right now. Like, there is a ton of good stuff on there that people flipped, renovated, or they're just moving to the suburbs and it's ready to go. But, I mean, the city right now is so much opportunity for first-time homebuyers.
So true.
The
and
suburbs
house hacking is, it's if you are unfamiliar with the term, take a look at it. There's a lot of tax benefits.
Oh my God. Could you imagine being a first-time home buyer right now, putting 3.5% down in the city, live there for 2 years?
I scare first-time home buyers because I'm like, you know what you should do?
I do the same thing. They come to me as like a client, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Yeah. You got to do this, and this can make you money, and this, and then you'll be retired by 28. And they're looking at me like, dude, I want to talk about the process. I'm like, no, you're doing the process.
I was like Charlie in Always Sunny, where he's drawing the map from one to another. Like, first you do this, and then you do this, and then you get the two. Stay there for 2.5 years and then rent it out. Yeah. But
as I say, if I was a first-time home buyer in the city right now, there's so much opportunity. So much opportunity. I mean, you don't even have to put your homestead on any of those things. Just jump every 18 months to a new place, put a new freaking FHA loan into it, refinance out.
I wish I knew.
I know. These are the things I wish I was doing instead of in my 20s where I was like, I'll live on your couch. That's cool. I can hop to your place next month. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. No, now I'm looking back. I'm like, son of a bitch. I could have if I spent my money properly. Whatever, but again, this is why we're doing this.
Hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight is 2020, and we all wish we started earlier, and we all wish we actually went above and beyond rather than half-assing things. And above and beyond is what you did here. And that's
Thank you very much.
I mean, I'm looking at your cabinets right now, and your cabinets aren't the standard little typical crap cabinets. They're nice cabinets.
Thank you.
A textured, nice little backsplash, which. Sorry to anybody who has to tile.
Oh, I know. I'm always like this.
But they look awesome.
Thank you. Yes, R&M Construction. Those are my guys.
They did a phenomenal job.
They're fantastic. Really,
really nice job. I'm somebody who kind of goes around and picks on people because I do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, the trim is nice all the way around. Everything's under the baseboards. Nothing's left on the outside out of it. They did really nice things. They looked at all the little details.
Yeah.
And they kept it. Somewhat traditional at the same time.
Big
you didn't just come in and gut it and make it these stamped new places.
Right.
You kept tradition in here.
It was a big deal to me to do that. This is, I know you guys can't necessarily see, but this is an old kind of historic attached 3-story converted mansion, I guess.
Victorian mansion, that turned into a twin, that then turned into a triplex on one side out of it.
Right, and I come in and I see things that I'm inspired by, and there's this really beautiful original fireplace that has all of the original tile and the original columns, and I built it, I designed it around that, just to pull in. It's just it's a very whiskey drinking fireplace,
It's so whiskey drinking!
Right? You're supposed to just be sitting up there and discussing, leather bound books.
And it gets so much sunlight too that you actually can do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to keep that that vibe. And so that's what's inspirational to me. That's what makes it exciting for me to do.
That's awesome.
So you have to really hone in and focus on the things that you enjoy, because there are parts of this that can be very nerve-wracking and can suck and can feel scary. But if you focus on the things that make you really excited about doing this, you'll continue to do it, and you'll find and develop relationships with the people who are better at the things that you stink at. And for me, that would be tiling.
Yeah. So. How fun is it though to look back and be like, yo, a year and a half ago, I was a scared little chicken. Right? And now I'm trying to get other people to do this shit.
Exactly. I know. It feels so good. It really does. Through the trials, the tribulations, through going, through, the scary, what do I do next? How do I do this? You look back at it, and it's a tangible experience that, you know, you show your friends and your family and your fellow investors, you know, look what I did. And it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
It is. I'm lucky enough that I'm surrounded by a ton of real estate people. The Adams Group is awesome. We're all kind of investors within it as well. And whenever one of us takes on a project, before we rent it or before we sell it, we always bring our group in.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to sit there and be like, Sean, Keith, Allie, and we just, this is so cool. Oh, you thought about that? Oh, you should add this right before somebody moves in, and you're like, oh, that's awesome. That's a $5 fix, and that's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
Like, they'll love it.
It's huge.
And just again, having that group of people that actually get energized for you.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, anytime one of us closes a deal, we have a group text message. We just send it out. Hey, new door added for client or for personal. Mm-hmm. And the responses are just, ooh, when can we see it? Where are they? Oh, how is it? Oh, did you beat me? And just getting that extra, like, I don't know, pat on the back.
It is. It's like, it's so good to have people who are act as oxygen to you.
Yeah. You know, like walking into those networking things without having properties, you're kind of like that kid in the corner that's like, please nobody talk to me because I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't really know. And now you walk in, you're like,
but once you do,
hello world, I'm here to help any of you.
It's so true. But you see those people and you're like, I was you.
And
Come with me.
You can do it. Yeah, you can do it. I'm telling you, just do it. 1% better. You're all right.
Yeah.
And that's something that you brought up in the way beginning that I really love. You mapped it out. If I can do this in these kind of months, if I can then go to this, if I can then move it, you're giving yourself those little check marks.
Right.
And eventually those little check marks add up to big checked off pages that make an agreement of sale. That's all checked off.
Mini goals. And I very literally, like I said, my first mini goal was to not be scared.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
How do I fix that? Get an education. So I think the course was like, I don't know, like $200 or $300, maybe.
And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I mean, look what you turned $200 to $300 into. Right. 2 properties.
Right. I got rid of my fear for $200 or $300. Right. And then I felt confident enough to at least take the next step, which was the project. Yep. That didn't work out. But then it moved me to, the next thing, and then the next thing. You become less scared with every step that you take.
And all of a sudden you become determined, too.
Big time.
Motherfuckers are beating me. What the fuck?
Right?
Like, I'm writing a hell of an agreement of sale here. There's no way 20 grand over is going to work for you. Mm-hmm. I'm watching your project. Yeah. Are you flipping this, living there, or tending it?
Right.
One of them, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. It really, really does open all of it up. And it makes it, I don't know, it's not like clean air all of a sudden, but it is.
Yeah.
Like you're not fearful of little things anymore. I remember the first time I got a washing machine call break, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to do? They can't clean their clothes. They can't. Oh, it's out of duplex. Use the other tenants.
You'll be fine.
I'll get you one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And then guess what? A week goes by, it gets delivered, and you're like, that was the easiest little thing I dealt with. Why was I so pissy last week?
But once you get through the first obstacle, the first time it happens, it's old hat.
Yep. Oh, an AC unit broke. I can go to a store and buy a new one. Look at that. It's not the end of the world. I just help these people like how I would want to be helped. Right. And that's awesome. Because as I say, I know I've said it now 3 or 4 times. This is a home.
Thanks.
This is not a rental property. I know it is on your end.
Right.
But your tenants are going to come in and they're going to treat this like a home.
Right.
You thought about little details like I'm looking at your refrigerator, but it's close to the hallway versus it being close to the wall. So if you're coming from the living room, you don't have to walk the extra 3 feet to be able to get it. Little things make differences. Your sink and your dishwasher are right next to each other. So you're not walking across the room to be able to do it. Your cabinets are right above it. It all makes sense. Your stove has a prep area, has actual cooking area next to it, has spice rack right next to it. Like, it makes sense.
Right. And even little things like, you would think, okay, there because, by the stove is a feature tile wall to the ceiling, which is great. And people are like, oh, wow, that's a really cool feature. It is a really cool feature. It was also a lot less expensive than 6 more cabinets. Yep. So if you find ways, if you're inspired by design, if that's your key, you can find ways to save there. If you are handy, you can find ways to save there.
Absolutely.
It's not about, if it works for you, it's how it works for you. And that's just a space where I like to, become creative And so it's it's empowering to kind of get there and to, put your own mark on your own property. And, it's just so rewarding.
Well, I give you a lot of credit for going through wholesaling and banking, cash and financing. You've done almost every way possible within the 2 properties first. So either you step even more outside your boundaries, or you already got a nice little blueprint to follow on any of those things. But most people, they do it the way I did. Traditional, conventional mortgage, go find a place. I got lucky. I won't lie. It worked for my first one because it was a house hack. It was my first home. It worked for the second one because it just wasn't a great time to be buying at that time. It was a month, 2 months before COVID, where right before that, it wasn't that great. And then COVID hit and it really wasn't great. And then it was really great.
Right.
So yeah, I get it. I've stayed more the traditional side. I've got to find fun financing this year. I'm done using my own money. My wife's done using her own money. And there's fun financing that you can figure out. I'm looking into more of the BRR method this year. Do I front that cost and then the bank will come back and give me it back plus a little bit? Do I look into hard money loans and let them front that cost and then refinance it and let a bank come in? To me, I now open up to that flip idea. I never used to be, but 4-to-1, actually, I get that ratio. It makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Where before, I was really closed off to the flip because I was like, hey, if I'm going to flip, why not just hold it for 18 months to 36 months and then quote unquote flip it?
Right.
But that would be 2 to 3 years that I wouldn't have that cash.
Exactly.
And that's 2 to 3 years that I lost opportunities to possibly get doors out of it.
Yeah. Don't get too stuck on your plan. Be in your lane, but don't have blinders to the other lanes. That's
a great advice out of it. Great advice. Because as you say, you never know when you're about to sign that agreement of sale and something goes ding.
Exactly what happens.
I can't move my hand all of a sudden. I know these numbers already in my head, and now I want to analyze them.
Yeah.
And they will. And the coolest part the networking, you're gonna find ways no matter what, as long as you keep networking.
Yeah.
Somebody will come to you, and somebody will find a way to help you because you've been helping other people.
Right.
And
talk about it.
Yep. I can't tell you how many times a client has finally sat there and explained a situation to me, and I go, I don't have that answer. Give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. Text message to 7 other real estate agents. Bing, bing, bing. Right. Hey, dude, one of these 3 might work for you. Mm-hmm. Send them off. Holy crap, Paul. C actually worked for me. I didn't know it. Somebody on my team knew it. Right. Somebody of my friends knew it. Whatever it was. But if they never talked to me about it, they would have just been, it's a hurdle I can't get over.
Right. And it's like your reputation doesn't have to be all knowledgeable. It just has to be accountability. And so if you don't know the answer to something, copying to that and saying, oh, but I can get you the answer and coming through is more important, I think, than pretending to know everything.
No. And then they're going to, guess what? They're going to come back to you and be like, yo, Paul, this one doesn't work for me. Anybody work for your group? Doesn't even have to work for you, Paul.
Now
but what about your group?
Somebody else. Yeah.
And it is absolutely huge. Networking, finding your strengths, staying within your lane. Those are all great pieces of advice. The fact that, again, you're doing this through a W-2 sales job nonetheless, which is already, it's not like, hey, I get to go sit at a desk 9 to 5 and that's where I'm stuck so I can, MLS this real quick. Nobody's looking over my shoulder. No, you're doing sales.
Yeah.
And sales is...
It's a grind.
You're actually in the same kind of sales my wife is, so I understand all of it.
All right.
I shouldn't say that. I understand it,
yes.
Not the all of
right.
part. I was in sales right before I got into this, and yeah, it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is.
But I talk about it with my clients too. You find common ground with everybody.
That's cool.
There's, for example, I work for a major credit card company and help, businesses in the mid-size range to finance their projects and talk to them about, return on investment and things like that. So I started to gravitate more towards my construction clients, my appliance, resale, wholesale clients, and having just that additional piece in common with them or learning from them.
That's awesome.
It's just about how you twist it. Everything you do, you can make relevant to your goals. It's just about how.
That's awesome. I just looked at the time. I didn't realize how long we've been going. I apologize for taking up your day.
No, it's totally fine.
So we'll wrap it up for you.
All right.
Two major questions and then a quote.
Okay.
First major question, something you're doing today that you weren't doing a year ago.
Oh my gosh, everything.
I know, I guess that actually doesn't work for you. So everything's a great answer.
Yeah.
I like that one. We'll move on to number 2 then. Number 2, what would you do differently, or what would be your advice to a younger self?
My advice to my younger self would be to not take everything quite at so face value as it's presented.
Okay.
Right?
I like that.
Because I think that there is, this American dream that's pushed, that it's like you rent until you're ready to put roots down, and then you sign in blood on the dotted line, and you have a mortgage, and you just, try to keep above and make those mortgage payments. But I got a taste for business once I got into, financial sales, and started learning more about how my own clients and some of the people that I admired had become so successful. And it wasn't something that was traditionally presented to me in my early 20s, or in college, or those, the place where you're supposed to learn everything. You just become more savvy, with respect to, figuring out how to leverage the things that are available to you, in order to get what you want. And it's an easy thing to do if you just kind of tune out the noise. And there's always a way to do something, even if it's not necessarily the way that it has been presented to you in the past.
Yeah.
So.
And another rich dad, poor dad thing right there.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure you pay attention to it. Make sure that you're running your numbers out of it, and it makes sense. And, to me, real estate really changed. And again, rich dad, poor dad, the way I look at assets and liabilities.
Right.
And that changed as soon as that spark hit. That was everything. That was all I needed out of it.
Right. I think if you don't understand something, you almost, in a way, absolve yourself of responsibility for controlling it.
Yep. And you're right. You can get out of that rat race. There's other opportunities out there other than that rat race.
Right.
I was big into it. I fell into it. I was a big corporate guy.
Yeah.
Get that title. Get that paycheck.
Right.
They'll take care of you. If you take care of them, work 80 hours a week, it's okay. It's good to go.
Right.
Man, was I stupid.
And then you hit your, then there's the first major corporate layoff, and you're like, I am a number,
So tenure doesn't matter, numbers don't matter, they just HR me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I went through 2 of those.
Yeah.
They were fun. And as I say, again, everybody, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's such a quick little read, but it really does give so many little bits of nuggets in there. Any favorite quote?
Geez, favorite quote. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I think on the spot, I'm not sure.
All right.
But I've gotten advice before, and I'm probably, and it's not from anyone famous, and it's just kind of a compilation of just different people that I've admired who have essentially said the same thing, which is to remember what's important, remember what your priorities are, focus on your joys, and don't sweat the small stuff.
That's perfect.
I know it's all very hallmarky, but I mean, there are times when life feels bigger, and problems or obstacles seem larger than they truly are. If you just break things down into bite-sized pieces, there is nothing that you can't truly accomplish.
The Atomic Real Estate Show, breaking bits of pieces down to atom size information. Yeah, it's so true though. You've said it multiple times. Overview, overwhelming.
Right.
Once you start actually breaking down, making your goals, figuring out what you're good at, putting aside things that you're not, and finding people to do that, you're set. And I know this is about real estate, but this really does go about almost anything in the face of the earth. It goes for sales.
Everything that you're not doing that you want to do is because you're scared to do it.
100%.
So break it down to what's going to make me feel a little bit less scared in the next 3 months. What's my 90-day goal that's going to make me feel less scared about this piece of the pie?
100%.
And that's it.
Yep. Take that little bit every single day. As I like to say, 1% better every day gets you a million times better by the time the month is over.
Right.
There was somebody that actually did the equation out one time where it's 1% better every day if you start at 5%, and where it goes compound interest. It's just it's amazing. But this has been absolutely my pleasure. This has been such a great time. We're gonna have you on again.
Great.
And again because I want to follow your overall real estate career out of this.
All right.
So a little teaser for everybody. You will be hearing back from Moira. As I said, every project, let us know.
Will do.
Anytime you've faced something you want to talk about, let us know.
Definitely will.
Because we definitely want to have you back on.
Great.
You fit so many people, especially myself 4 years ago, but you fit that mold of, hey, just do it. Right. Don't make any more excuses. Just do it. Even if today you're just going to pick up the phone and call a real estate agent just to ask for email listings.
That's it.
That's 1% better.
Right.
Start there. Then go to a networking group. Meet people and ask them how they analyze a deal. Figure out how they analyze and just do 2 steps, 3 steps. Do the 1% rule. Do the whatever rule you want that gets you to actually look at properties. 1% better.
That's it.
And then fast forward 1 year, you've got 4 doors underneath your roof.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. But it's, once you get the momentum, and the confidence, you just keep going. It's the first hurdle is the biggest one. Just don't be scared.
That's phenomenal.
Do the things that are going to make you not scared.
Great advice. Unfortunately, that is the end of our episode of the Atomic Real Estate Show today. There will be more actual Adam-sized bits of advice that'll be free for the taking yet again on our next episode, so be sure to tune in next week. Thank you again to our listeners, and especially to Moira for being so generous with her time and insight into all of your new beginnings. Yes. We only hope the best for you as you continue with it. I look forward to continuing to having you on here. As I say, we expect to have you back. And I look forward to all of our comments and all of our likes and shares, so please do not forget to do that. And also don't forget to check out Direct Subs at directsubs.com. They are our amazing sponsors, everybody, and be 1% better today.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.